Hello, I'm Marty Pospischil, and I'm here to give you our June 2020 market update. So let's run through some information here that I put together for us, and I promise you I'm going to keep this fairly short so I can get right to the point, get right to the meat of our market update so I don't drag on for a long period of time. Let's talk about what has happened in our marketplace. Sales provincially have recovered slightly since April into June. We do see a bit of a bump in activity in our residential sales, so that's a very good sign. But they are about 45% lower than normal for this time of year compared to May 2019. Active listings are down by about 25% year over year. And this is a very interesting point because it's going to play a role on the pricing. We're going to talk about that shortly. So the active listings have actually dropped over the last couple of months, and they are projected to take off again. So let's pay close attention to that. And let's look at the sales ratio. We talked a little bit about this last time. The sales ratio basically is the absorption rate of product that sells every month. So for example, if you have 100 houses and 15 of them sell in a given month, the sales ratio, or the sales to actives ratio is another name for it, is 15%. So if you look at the table there in red on the screen behind me, you'll see if the sales ratio is below 11% absorption rate, you're in a buyer's market. It's favoring the buyers. If it's between 12 and 20%, it's a balanced market. It's not favoring the buyers or the sellers. But if that sales ratio jumps above 21%, you enter into a seller's market. Multiple offers, prices appreciating, and of course, in a buyer's market, prices are depreciating. So the sales ratio is a very good metric that we use to track how active the market is and what kind of market we're in. Now, interestingly enough, if you look at the sales ratio, we are right at the bottom end of a balanced market overall in British Columbia for all product types. So that's kind of interesting to note because as you recall from my last projection, using the BCRA information, the CMHC information, and all the projections, we are supposed to be getting a sharp increase in inventory and a sharp decline in pricing. So you'll notice that our market, of course, has dropped through 2020, and we've dropped down from a seller's market through a balanced market and just creeping up at the top of the buyer's market, entering into a balanced market. And why is that? So let's take a closer look at that. Let's look at what's hot and what's not, okay? If we look at detached houses on the west side, and not sure if you guys can see this, but right down here, we're looking at the sales ratio of 12%. So that tells me that detached houses are right above a buyer's market, just entering into a balanced market. That's kind of interesting. Good time to buy a detached house. So let's look at condos on the west side. If we look at Vancouver West Side condominiums, you'll see that the sales ratio is at 15%. Now that's really interesting because condos are obviously in the west side a little hotter right now than detached houses. We're smack dab in the middle of a balanced market for west side condos. Now let's pop over to the east side of Vancouver, and you will see detached houses east side are at an 18% sales ratio. So they are at the top end of a balanced market, almost breaching a seller's market. So houses on the east side are very busy. Look at the sales ratio, under $1 million, 300%, $1 million to $1.25 million, 57% sales ratio. I can use my fancy pointer here. And that is extremely active. So that's interesting to note. And let's look at condos on the east side. Again, we're very active. We are in a seller's market for condos east side, 22% sales ratio. Very, very interesting. So that in a nutshell is what's happening in our market. The projected increase in listings, if that happens, supply and demand, economics 100, prices are going to fall. If by chance sellers do not list and we have a limited inventory coming out, day by day, that is going to hold the prices where they're at. Because if that supply doesn't shoot up dramatically and the demand has limited choice, the prices will hold. So it'll be very interesting to see what happens over the next few weeks. I'll be sure to keep you posted. Thanks for joining me today.
Thanks.